obviously, Gilbert, you know, and you're so upfront and open about everything.
Yes.
The white elephant in the room is what happened this year.
Did something happen this year? Gee, thank God it didn't make it to the news.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you told us the 9/11 story, you know, which is kind of, you know, a similar story, and you know, one of my reactions was, God, his wife must have killed him after that. Like after the whole Aflac thing, I'm thinking, well, you know, they were pissed off and this and that. He must have, his wife had to kill him. What the hell?
Well, it was one of these things, though, like, I mean, I have been doing that kind of material for the longest time.
It's not new.
Yeah, and the way I thought of it, it was like, you know, people say, are you sorry you did it? And it's like, I'm sorry for losing a job.
Sure.
But doing the jokes, I still can't be sorry about because I've always pushed it.
It wasn't like it wasn't out of character.
No. And to me, what it felt like was like you wake up every morning your whole life eating a bowl of cornflakes. And then one day you eat a bowl of cornflakes and all hell breaks loose. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it felt like to me. And the news, you know, ran wild with it. And it was like, well, the first thing the news did was they didn't refer to it as jokes.
Right.
They called it comments and remarks. Because if you say to people, the news is, we heard some shocking jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then anyone listening goes, yeah, jokes. So they were jokes.
Right.
And then they go, well, yes, but they were from Gilbert Gottfried, and they were bad taste jokes. And then they would go, well, has he ever made a good taste joke? And so that's, and then it was this, yeah, and these jokes have been around since the beginning of time, these type jokes. I've said, like, when Christ was on the cross, I'm sure there were people doing jokes back and forth who were around there. And in fairness to them, he wasn't really Christ at the time. You know? So, you know, you could go, he's some schmuck who says he's the son of God. Right. Come on, you know, really. And then when he actually came back to life, it's like, you know, had I known, I really, you sound like a total but now, I didn't know you could do that stuff. The water to wine and coming back to life. This is pretty cool stuff.
You apologized afterwards for the remarks, for the jokes.
Oh, yes, for the jokes.
I'm falling into the same trap. You know, you apologized, but do you have like an agent or a PR person saying, you've got to really throw yourself at the mercy of and go, and you know, and you said, look, I'm not.
Yeah, I didn't even want to do the apology that I sent out. It was just like I was sort of being pushed to do it.
Yeah.
And out of all the ones that were, I picked the one that was the most, you know, out of the machine type apology. The kind of things where, you know, it's just like, okay, apology 6073, you know, right? I'll sign that one right here.
Right, so that paper has, so they have something to
Yeah,
print,
because just the whole idea of apologizing because you made jokes. And the idea, too, of, like, bad taste doesn't mean mean-spirited. It means bad taste. And it's like, you know, I always feel like, you know, there's this old quote, tragedy plus comedy, tragedy plus time equals comedy. And I always feel like, so my biggest problem is impatience.
Right. But, you know, somebody could say, okay, yeah, I mean, you're right, jokes, but still, even though they're jokes, still a person can be hurt by words nonetheless, even though they're jokes.
Well, they can, and but what got me about this, was all the people who were saying, you know, his remarks really hurt the people of Japan. And I'm thinking, so that means when the tsunami was striking, the Japanese had nothing better to do than to log on to my Twitter account.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, run, the ocean's attacking. Not now. I'm trying to find Gilbert Gottfried on it. Is that a D or two T's? I don't know. You know, it's
Yeah.
and they say, they also, I had people who said to me, like, well, what if it was one of your loved ones who died? And I think, well, it would be like saying, so if one of my loved ones died and I had nothing better to think about, nothing more strong to think about than a comic who made a joke on his Twitter account in Tokyo,
right,
would be like the analogy.
Yeah. Sometimes people misdirect where their pain and anguish is because they need an outlet to hang it on.
Yeah, well, I also feel like there's that weird thing that happens when there's a tragedy or disaster of people who, they secretly love it and love themselves for showing the pain that they're feeling. They'll put something on their lapel and, like, you know, see, I take this to heart and I feel the same pain that the actual people feel.
But do you think there's certain areas that you just don't go near, though?
Obviously not.
I guess.
It's really awkward now because I'm still, there's like this legal thing. I can't really talk.
Oh, there is a legal?
Yeah,
Is someone suing someone?
Yeah, not a suing thing, but there's a legal thing where you're not allowed to talk
okay.
for a while. And it makes it so awkward, especially now when I'm doing all this press, where it's kind of like having Colonel Sanders on a show and having him say, all right, I'll talk about everything except fried chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else you want to talk to me about? Baseball, shoes. Can't talk about fried chicken or a soda or fries.
Yeah. Well, did you just one time, I mean, how often would you need to record
No,
a quack?
they would call me in for each new commercial.
They couldn't use the one you would think?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, they're certainly not calling me in. So I don't. I sent out a Twitter where I said I refuse to do any jokes about Osama bin Laden's death that might be considered insensitive. And I said, so just let me say my thoughts and prayers are with the Al-Qaeda. Yes.
Perfect.